We are now in Annapolis, Maryland. This is my house and we are in my office. This is where I do most of my homework and obviously a lot of computer work and a lot of my writing, especially for my books. I mostly work in the mornings, which means getting up in the morning, taking care of business, having a quick breakfast, drinking some coffee, and then getting on the computer and beginning to write. Sometimes it's difficult to get started, but I like to focus on taking things in a chapter by chapter. When I write a book, the first thing that I do is I do a book proposal, which is really the outline for how I'm going to proceed with writing a book. The most important thing about writing a book is basically to have something to say. So therefore the material and the content is always important. I'm very fortunate that my books follow a pattern of my reporting on national security affairs. So I have a lot of material that ends up on the cutting room floor, as they say. And I'm able to use that material, develop it, do additional interviews, and then put it all together in a book. It's a good formula. I find that it works well for me, and it helps me also in my newspaper reporting when oftentimes, you know, we have to make really fast judgments about the most important things to go into a 800-word to 1,000-word newspaper story. It's much harder to do that. You have to make judgments about especially what to put in, how important it is, and then most importantly what to leave out. A lot of stuff that's left out, I'll think about, well, maybe I'll use that later for a book. I have a computer and I only recently went to the two-screen model. It helps in juggling a lot of different things. I keep one screen mostly for email, and then I do my writing on this larger screen. Again, having internet access has really changed writing. It's especially important to be able to find material. And again, when you're looking for exclusive material, it also helps to be able to search the internet to find out what's out there and what's not out there.
How much time do you think you spend in any given day in this chair here?
I would say I probably spend 4 to 5 hours a day, not counting weekends, but I do a lot of work at home. Generally, I work until around 12 or 1 o'clock, grab a quick bite, and then head to the office where when I'm writing a book, I have to jam in a full day's work in a half day's time. And that can often be challenging because I still have a day job. That's as a national security reporter for the Washington Times. And I have a lot of things to keep an eye on, especially in the intelligence, national security affairs world. And I'll have to oftentimes write a story. I also write a once weekly column, which I have a deadline for of Wednesday, midday Wednesday, middle of the week. These are some of the souvenirs and things that I've collected over my career. This is a Russian article that a government official sent me in 1991, and the headline on it is, "How many hats does Mr. Gertz wear?" And it was an attack on me for writing about a secret visit to Germany by a Russian general. And this was the Soviet military at the time was attacking me. This is an old lacrosse head. This is the new style of lacrosse head. Here I have a mask from Beijing, China. This is one of the ceremonial masks that they sell there. Over here, this is something that came to me by way of the office. This is, to me, emblematic of the President Bush administration. You have funny quotes as well as serious quotes. Here's one of the funny ones.
Rarely is the question asked, is our children learning?
And then the more serious ones, if he's given some inspirational ones.
Will set the course of history.
And I think that's a good answer for the Bush administration. There have been many good things, and there's also been many funny things, at least in terms of the president's talks. In terms of, this is a cartoon that ran in the paper. This was based on a scoop I had back in 2006 about a Chinese submarine stalking the aircraft carrier Kitty Hawk, and Bill Garner, our excellent political cartoonist, did a cartoon on it where he has someone on the Kitty Hawk saying, "It's a Chinese sub, sir." They say, "Gotcha." Time management is something that I really work on to be able to try to compartmentalize my activities. I'm 56 years old. I've been doing reporting, and as I look back on my career, I can recall times when I would spend most of my time working at the newspaper, and a newspaper reporter's job is very, very time consuming. You are a slave to events that happen. You have to be ready on a moment's notice to pick up the phone and get on the computer and write a story. As I've gotten older, I've tried to really utilize my vacation time. When I'm writing a book, oftentimes I will end up having to use my vacation time to really finalize the final manuscript. But that I also try to do non-work related things, and I really feel that that's an important part. You have to be able to separate from your work after a while and get some recreation. For me, I have two big interests. One is lacrosse. I played lacrosse as a young person on Long Island growing up there and in college. And I still play with what we call an old guys league. I'm a member of the Mr. Bow lacrosse team, and we play in a number of tournaments around the country. And that's a real good escape, a way to reduce stress. I also have gotten into fishing quite a bit, freshwater fishing. Like to fish for bass and other freshwater fish. The proposal is really the most important element for me in writing the book, because you're going to do all of the research into what you're going to say. It sometimes changes from the actual published book, but it's really the outline. It's also, in some sense, a sales proposal for publishers to give them an idea of what you're going to have in the book. Then the next process is, once you have this proposal down, a publisher has to approve it, and once it's approved, then you go ahead. I generally don't write books unless I have a contract in hand with a publisher to publish the book.
Your most recent book, from the beginning of writing the proposal till you're done, about how long is that, and how do you know when you're done?
I would say for the last book, it took me about 6 months to get to the point where I had a manuscript that was ready to go to the printer, which is relatively fast. A lot of writers will take twice that amount of time, perhaps a year. But because my reporting is very news-oriented, in other words, it really relates to a lot of current events, I have to write in a very fast turnaround time. The style of writing for a book is often much different than newspaper reporting. Newspaper reporting is generally a strict attribution style. He said, she said, the document said. In writing a book, you can use much more different, more feature style writing, where you can expound on things and talk about things and address issues that you normally wouldn't do. Better descriptions of people and places and things. In terms of books, I think probably the most important book that influenced me was The Gulag Archipelago by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. To me, this was really one of the most important books that were published, really for the first time identifying the problem and the evil of communism. And I think that this book really made a big difference in the world in helping people to understand the problem of communism.
I have to ask about this other fish here.
Yeah, this is a piranha that a friend of mine gave me from a trip to South America, and I like the model of a piranha. I think it's a good model for reporters to be small and powerful.